Yeah. Can you dig it? Why, hello there. Welcome to the show. You are watching Untethered Live on television, on YouTube, on your phone, on something, and I'm your host. I'm Jake Johnson, and I'll be coming through your television or your phone or your computer or something. Welcome. How are you on a Wednesday? It's Wednesday. It's weird. Weird Wednesday. Don't know what's going on. Don't know which way to go. That way. Is anybody with me so far? Or is it just me all by myself? Nope, somebody's here. Hello. Relatively no problems getting online tonight. That's good. Good deal. If you've been following the computer saga, know that I have a basic compulsory workaround. I've been able to get online with OBS and most of my attributes and accoutrements. It's not perfect, but it'll do. It'll do for now. It'll keep me going for a little while until I can get that old Mac up and running. That's the thing I want to get. That thing is powerful. It has all the memory in the world. That one would never freeze up. This one freezes up all the time. So, when I get there. But I built this whole podcast with the same premise. When I get there, 3 or 4 weeks, and one piece at a time, till eventually I had enough to do it. So I'll keep doing it that way. Talkative bunch you are. I can see that. Well, there's only really one of you, so I don't blame you for not talking. I wouldn't talk if I didn't have anybody to talk to either. Had a fairly long day at work today. It's one of those all-dayers. Got a lot done, though. Went through about 800 t-shirts, I think. Something like that. Lots of them. In case you didn't know, I make t-shirts. That's one of the many things I do. Once again, I had a nice evening planned for you. And the guy never got back with me, so can't base a show on somebody that doesn't communicate. So that's not going to happen tonight. May happen next week, though. We'll see. I was just checking to see if that was him. It's not. At some point, a good friend of the show, Jeff Etheridge, is going to be on, and we're going to have a conversation. But it won't be tonight. Hey, there's a Diego. What's happening, my brother? Good to see you. Clappy, clappy. It's going to be one of those slow Wednesdays. I can feel it in my bones. Great to be here again. It's great to have you here, as always. Glad to have somebody to talk to. Everybody else will roll in here shortly, I would imagine. I mean, it's only 8:30. 7. Got a little show I'm doing tomorrow if you're interested. It's a birthday party / open mic night. I'm going to go in and like gangbusters and take over. I'm going to show them what a band looks like. I think it'll be fun. It'll be all right. My new band is about maybe 50% ready to do a full show. It's not quite there yet. We've been putting it together for about maybe a month now, a couple months. So we'll see. Tomorrow's like a proving ground. You know, we get to go out in front of people and practice in person. No money, just rock and roll. Hey, there's one guy. We're talking about 51%. Okay. Well, maybe. I'm being conservative, but maybe. What I'm hearing so far sounds pretty good, though. I don't hear anything that gives me pause, if that's what you're thinking. Which you're not, I'm sure. But, you know. I think it'll be fine. It's going to be fun tomorrow. You always sneak up on me when I'm talking about you. What is that all about? Do you have like a tap on my phone or something? That's interesting. That's twice that's happened. I started talking about you and then you pop up out of nowhere. Well, there I am. I wasn't actually talking about you per se. I was talking about us. But, you know, same thing. Cool. You had a substitute teacher back in high school that turned out to be a famous songwriter and rock and roll star. That's good. Always give props when somebody makes it. Who was it? Anybody I'd know? Was it Jason Newsted from Metallica? That's kind of odd. I think he was a substitute teacher. I'm not sure. Seems like I remember that. Doubt it's the same one, though. So who was the famous guy? Walter Egan. Okay, don't know the name, but I believe you. There's a lot of famous musicians and songwriters out there. And I don't know most of them. I used to be one of them. Kinda. Now I'm just a songwriter and musician. Not famous. Famous in my own head. He's famous in 2 counties. Wow. That's interesting. He must have had a lot of an affair because that's a lot of woman. She's something else. I bet she's a good sport, though, like old school. What do you think? News now? Think Stevie Nicks would be a freak? He had a hit song called Magnet and Steel, which he wrote and dedicated to Stevie Nicks. Interesting. Can't say I've ever heard it. Who didn't bang Stevie Nicks back in the day? That's what I'm saying. Wow, she was a wildcat. Now she's just Thorazined out, and as long as you put her on a tambourine and set her up straight, she's all right. I've had a day or two like that myself, all Thorazined out and barely able to play the tambourine. I'm hoping to have one of those tomorrow night. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. I'm so excited. In fact, I thought about building a pedal board today, but I took a nap instead. Interesting. Yeah, it's amazing what those guys, people who are famous and what they do in real life. It's kind of interesting. You know that girl that played Indiana Jones's love interest in the first Indiana Jones movie? She's famous the world over. Everybody knows who she is, but she works in a toll booth up in North Dakota somewhere. Or in Chicago, maybe. Somewhere up north. You thought he was a normal person, but he also taught your guitar classes, and he had a pretty good handle on it. Interesting. Naps are good. Hey, Laura, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. We're just laid back, chit-chatting around here, talking about love and how the world needs it badly. Yes, I think I'm going to take another nap as soon as I'm done with the podcast news now. I was kind of enjoying the first one. I was going to lay down for a 10-minute nap. Just get a little shut-eye, because I'm getting old. I kind of need a nap every now and then after a hard day's work. So I lay down and put on some movie review or something, and next thing you know, my alarm clock's going off, and I'm sitting up in bed in a cold sweat. Like, did I miss the podcast? Oh, shoot. I thought I done slept right through it. But, no, it was on time. It's just my alarm clock going off. Scared me, though, for a minute. I mean, I went out. It's a hard day's work. Yep, the world does need love. Love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach. And I don't have to tell you no lies. Yeah, I heard it was something else. I hadn't watched it yet, so I don't know, but I heard. Yeah, I have an Aunt Laura too, but she spells hers with a capital L. Ba-doom-tsh. Where's April and Kev at tonight? Where are you guys? Hey, so is Jake and April. Yeah, but ours doesn't pronounce it Laura. Ay, 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 ay. That was Mexican humor. Sorry. I'll leave now. So, I expect April and them to be here any minute now. I can't text them right now because my phone's out, but I'll have that remedied Friday. But if anybody's got their number, text them and say, hey, live. What good is a moderator that don't show up? So what have you been up to today, Laura? Anything interesting? No, I did not hear the president's speech. Or I have not watched it yet. I've been working. But I heard that he made a few flubs. And I also heard that he quoted Trump 2 or 3 times, which is hilarious. Outright plagiarism. Any man that can sit there after what he's done with a straight face and say he wants to get America back on track deserves to be laughed out of the room. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I told you I hadn't seen it yet. You know, just stayed home. La-di-da. I know how it is. Everybody can't have an exciting life. Then we'd be in a really exciting world. It'd be too exciting. Oh, I can't. It's just too exciting. Hey, Darlene, how are you? Good to see you. That's 3 in a week. I feel special, honored, privileged, and a little humbled. How are you doing this fine evening? Is it too hot where you're at right now? It's kind of warm here. I got my AC on for the second time this winter. Hey, there's a Kevin Cox. Hey, brother, how are you? Welcome to the show. If you'll pay attention to the left corner, Candy's going to come out and do a number. Yes, I know. I know you're here. You just don't talk. I don't blame you. Can't get a word in edgewise here sometimes. That's good, though. That's what we want. Darling. Good. Good to hear it. Glad you guys are having a good day. I had a long one. Long day. Slaving over hot t-shirts all day. You like doing numbers? What kind of numbers? Yeah, I understand that. I know you can't see the words too good, and that's all right. You're here. That's all that matters. In spirit or in text, either way. Long as you're fitting in. Yep. That person doesn't understand a few things. I know that argument. I'll look into it. Truth hurts. Here's the thing about Noah's Ark. First of all, wasn't a boat. Didn't go anywhere. Tired of people making that argument. Didn't have to be a boat. All it had to do was float. Didn't have to go anywhere. So, the idea of it being too big, wrong. Second of all, the animals came out of it at the mountains of Ararat, and they went everywhere. After the flood, the waters receded. The high places went high and the low places went low. And the water ran off into the low spots. And also, some of it returned back to from whence it came, which is in the depth of the earth. It came out and it went back. That's called liquefaction, and it happens. Well, during that process, there's a lot less water on the surface than there normally is. So you could have walked all the way to Australia from the mainland. And also, if you've ever been there, you know that water's kind of shallow in the first place. It's only about 12 feet deep all the way across. Maybe gets up to 20 feet in a couple of places. So it wouldn't take much at all for that to be a land bridge. And also, before the flood, all the continents were joined together into one big continent. So some of that was still going on after the flood. So it would be very easy for certain animals to get in certain places and get caught there and not be able to go back. Such as the bonobo monkeys that are apes that live in the Congo across the river from some chimpanzees of a different group, but the same bloodline. On one side you got bonobos and on the other side you got chimpanzees. They're from the same family, but they're separated by this river, and they've been separated for so long they can no longer interbreed. So when they took some chimpanzees from one side and brought them over to the other side, they couldn't procreate. Now, that's just because of, microevolution, which is a thing that happens. Speciation happens, and adaptations happen, and being accustomed to your environment happens, and things like that. None of this is hard science. When you look at any natural disaster and look at the aftermath of it, and it will tell you exactly what occurred in those days on a big, grand scale. Look at Mount St. Helens when it blew. That'll explain a few things to you. Like how the Grand Canyon got there. Probably was carved in about 2 weeks. And it was probably a massive mud flow that caused it from the Great Lakes, which once covered half of Canada, spilling over and going down into the oceans, causing a spillway, which is why there's no delta at the other end of the Grand Canyon, like there is at the bottom of the Mississippi River, because mud has to go somewhere. And if it went all out in the ocean, that's where it is. A lot of inbred monkeys in Alabama. Yeah, there are. Yeah, there are. But anyway, the truth hurts is uneducated. That's why he doesn't understand that the animals absolutely do not disprove Noah's Ark by any stretch of the imagination. Not only was there more than enough room for all the animals, but there was plenty of room for extra. You only needed about 4,000 animals to get all the breeds that we have today. Talk to anybody that's ever bred a dog, and they'll explain it to you, that you can get all the breeds of dogs out of 2 dogs. And if you got 4 or 5 dogs, even more. But there'll be limitations with those breedings. You can get a big dog and a little dog, but you'll never get a tiny, 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 tiny dog like that big, because there's a limit to how small they can get. There's also a limit to how big they can get. It's why you'll never get a dog the size of a horse. But you will get one the size of a Great Dane or a St. Bernard. But that's the limit. That's the uppermost limit of that speciation, and those animals are endangered because they don't make more of them, because you have to do a lot of inbreeding to cause that. Yes, I believe in microevolution. You see it every day. Thought you didn't believe in it. I don't believe in evolution as it is taught in school. That's a religion. I do not believe in that. There's never been a situation where a species turned into a different species, but there's lots and lots and lots of evidence that say that you get short, tall, fat, wide, hairy, light, dark, you know. But there's limits to that. I think he's an idiot, Aaron Ra. He's a moron with a big chin. Some people who get a little bit of knowledge become very dangerous with themselves because they think they have a lot of knowledge, and then they go to plotting their whole worldview on that little bit of tiny knowledge that they have, and they don't see the whole picture yet. And it's obvious when you pay attention to them, when you listen to them talk, it's obvious they don't see everything. They're basing their opinion on one sliver of knowledge. And Aaron Ra is a prime example of that. He thinks he knows every damn thing. He does not. Not even close. He's a child with a little imagination. That's it. I wouldn't waste my time on that guy. And he's cross-eyed. I don't like that. It's creepy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a lot of those out there. They get on the bottom end of that evolution doctrine and they go out preaching it just like an evangelist would, but they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know their own religion well enough to teach it, let alone somebody else's religion well enough to dispute it. It's odd. Anyway, to answer your question, the word evolution has 7 definitions at least, and 6 of them are complete and utter fantasy. There's only one of them that even makes any kind of sense at all, and that would be natural selection. And I don't mean that any particular force selects things. I mean that just by nature of living, things happen. Yeah. Well, he gets his name from an Egyptian god because he thinks it makes him sound intelligent. I would never claim to be any kind of god, especially an Egyptian one. And that in itself is proof that he doesn't know what he thinks he knows. Hey, 420, what's happening, brother? Good to see you. Hope you're doing fine on this Wednesday evening. His actual name is Aaron Nelson, by the way. I know that because I watch other apologists. Yes, he will answer to God. He absolutely will, Laura. That's absolutely right. It's 9 o'clock. Time to get the bourbon going. I'm with you, dog. Where's my April at tonight? I miss her cheeriness. No, I am not a theistic evolutionist. You know what I am. You listen to me every night. I don't lie to my people. I am what I am. I'm not a theist either. I don't believe what I believe. I know what I know. There's a difference. $4.20, high five, buddy. $4.20 says it was a nice day. Yes, it was. I wouldn't know because I worked the whole day, but it looked nice from the window. No, I think the study of evolution is trash, and I think it's designed to get rid of God. That's the main reason it exists. And by the way, it's failing hand over fist right now in the scientific community. The scientists of the world are panicking because everything they find comes up God, every which way they turn. And they hate it. Now that they know what to look for, after 20 years of trying to not see it by the scientific equivalent of putting their fingers in their ears and going, la, 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 la. After 20 years of that, they're finding soft tissue and dinosaur bones everywhere they look, including bones they already have cataloged. And they do not know what to do with that information. It's driving them batty because there's only one explanation, and that is either we're wrong or dinosaurs aren't that old. Hey, Caucasian Sasquatch. Late. You hadn't been here in 2 weeks. Good to see you. Good to see you. How are you doing? Busy, I see. Christopher Hitchin now believes what he denies. Denied. Are you saying he now believes in God because he's dead? Yeah. Yep, that tends to happen when you die and you meet your creator. I'd say there's a lot of people in that boat right now. Yep. He definitely knows better now, don't he? Yeah, even if I were an atheist, I wouldn't badmouth God. That just seems dumb. Because, we're human beings, can be wrong. Only a fool would think they're not wrong. That's something I've never understood. There she is. Wowee, hello everyone. See you tomorrow night. Gotta run. Thanks for dropping by, News Now. I'll see you tomorrow night. God bless and Godspeed, and, don't do nothing I wouldn't do. Hello, Diego 420 Sasquatch News Now. April, good to see you, sweetheart. Glad you could make it. Beginning to wonder about you. Today is Ash Wednesday? Really? I didn't know that. I guess it would be sacrilegious to put some cigarette ashes on my forehead. You know what that means, by the way? That means, look at me, I'm a virtue signaler. Yep. Just like people that pray out loud. It's the same kind of thing. Speak in tongues. Yep, I got ashes too. Virtue signaler. Look at my virtue. Not virgin signaler. Every day is ashy when you don't use lotion, only if you're black. Look at that. Perfect skin. I never use lotion. I don't even use soap. I don't even use water. Diego, I've heard many out there. Can't listen to it long. It just feels wrong. What are we referring to, Laura? What can't you listen to long? Oh, my bad. No, it just means somebody that wants you to know that they know that, look at me. I'd say God, being non-corporeal as he is, probably would listen to your prayers if you did them inside where nobody else could see. Matter of fact, that's why he tells you to pray in a closet, because it's private. It's between you and him. It has nothing to do with anybody else. No, you don't say the wrong things. You just didn't hear me right. That's all. That's an honest mistake. Anybody could have made it. But they didn't. You did. That's okay. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. Oh, the atheists, yeah. Yeah, I have trouble listening to them, too, because of the sheer stupidity of it all. But it is fun to correct them, so I do like doing that. And we do that from time to time on this channel. Occasionally, I'll get an atheist together and tear him apart like a cheese grater. Like I got his face on a cheese grater. And that's kind of fun. Some people like it. I get a lot more viewers when I do that, I can tell you that. And that's what I'm doing here, trying to get viewers. Just winning friends and influencing people. Kissing hands and shaking babies. You know how it is. I mean, I still hadn't heard anything back from that sponsor that got in touch with me last week. Kind of excited to hear back from them. I don't know if I'm ever going to hear from them again, though. Might have been a scam. Who knows? Some pretty clever ones out there. We'll see. I'm going to look into this Truth Hurts guy later on tonight and see if he's got anything worth tearing apart for next week. And at some point, I've got a cousin who's an ardent atheist who has agreed to come on and have a conversation with me about our worldviews and such. And his name is Jeff Etheridge. And if I ever get an email from him, I'll set that up. So in the next couple of weeks or so, we'll have that interview happening. I don't know when it's going to happen, though, because it seems like getting up with him is like pulling teeth. Caucasian, where'd you go? You popped in and you popped out. Who knows? I don't, that's for sure. There he is. Oh, you're talking to your wife. Okay. All right. Okay. Hello, wife. So we do have some interesting things coming up in the future anyway. Caucasian has many children. He told me that, but I'm not stalking. Me thinkest thou protesteth too much. April wants to hear from you guys. Tell her how you feeling. The new Batman movie came out today. I'm very excited to see that. I've heard a lot of good things about it. That'll be the first superhero movie they haven't screwed up if it manages to be good. I just don't know. I've been burned a lot of times by the Hollywood, so I don't know if I'm optimistic about it or not. Could be a trash. It could be the best movie ever made. We'll see. What else? What else, April? Did something else come out today? Oh, I did check out that Elvis movie, by the way. That's going to be exciting. But don't let nobody see you. Oh, Doctor Strange. Yeah. I don't know if I'm caring about that movie or not. The floor is all yours, Diego. I've heard a few things about that Doctor Strange movie. I heard it was a little bit horror show. I also heard that it was all about Wanda and not Doctor Strange. Wanda being the witch. Speaking of the Elvis movie 2022, I am kind of excited to see that. Although I don't like the guy that they got to play Elvis, but his voice is perfect. I just don't like his face. It's not very Elvis. But he's probably the best person in the world to sing Elvis. That's his voice on that movie, by the way. Most of it. I think they mix in some of older Elvis, on top of his voice, but he does all the younger Elvis singing. And it seems like I remember seeing that guy on TV about 5 years ago in Canada. He was a teenager, and they discovered him. He was singing Elvis tunes back then because he had such an Elvis-like voice. I don't know if it's the same person or not, but it seems like it was. I didn't realize Christopher Walken had written a play about Elvis. That's interesting. I have to look into that. It's called Him, 1995. April says, I've been keeping up with that trailer. Yeah. Don't you agree with me, though, that he don't have the best face for Elvis, but he's got the best voice? He's a little too tiny, a little too scrawny to be the king. He just don't have the same kind of presence when he walks into a room. But who knows? Maybe he can pull it off. The thing is, with like the Book of Boba Fett, and they put a deep faked Luke Skywalker's face on another actor. Seems like they could do something like that here and actually make the guy look like young Elvis. There's God knows there's enough footage of him that they could cobble something together on him. Seems like I don't know why they didn't go that route. I mean, they're getting pretty good at that technology. They've had a couple movies now where dead people were in it. And also, Disney has a hologram of Elvis, and they do shows on the regular. So, I don't know why they can't use some of that technology to make him look more like Elvis if they're going to do a biopic about him. But that's just my thoughts on the subject. What say you? Do you want to see a more realistic Elvis, or do you not mind somebody playing the part? When you look at him and the verisimilitude is taken away from you because you can recognize it's not Elvis. And he ain't nowhere near as cool as Elvis was. That takes all the verisimilitude out of a movie. No truth in it. Elvis did have his issues, but he hid them well. Christopher Walken's idolized Elvis. Gotcha. Everybody idolized Elvis. I don't think that's unique to Christopher Walken, but I get what you're saying. Elvis is just the man. There never has been, nor will there ever be another one like him. I wish I had the charisma that guy had in his pinky. I'll never even come close. I've seen some footage and heard some audio recordings of Elvis showing his true colors, though, April, and it would surprise you. There's one audio recording of him in Vegas somewhere on a Tuesday night or whatever, on an off night in some club somewhere. He gets up and sits in with the band that's playing and then commences to rip the shreds out of some Hollywood reporter that wrote a bad article about him or something. Says he'll rip his GD tongue out. It's Elvis cussing this guy up one side and down the other, and somebody recorded it. I've heard that one before. That's quite interesting. Elvis does not live, I promise. Even if he did live, he'd be dead now. He didn't live, though. He's dead. I've looked into the guy who claimed to be Elvis and even sent in DNA samples, which were non-conclusive, by the way. That's why they didn't continue with that story. And there's something to the guy. He was there. Like, there's intimate knowledge that he has that only someone that was there could have had, but he's not Elvis. I don't know what's going on there, but it's not him. Wow, says 420. You must be referring to the Elvis tape. Yeah, that was my expression too when I heard it. Wow. That's a side of Elvis you don't see every day. Apparently, some news reporter wrote a scathing article about him or something, and he didn't like it, and he let him have it right there on stage in front of God and everybody. Threatened to karate kick him, rip his tongue out, and said quite a few choice words. Also, apparently, he was quite taken with the ladies. There is more than one Lady of the Night story concerning that man. Yep, I think that's the same one. So you've heard it too then. Well, thank you for that information. Be sure you get under your arms. And brush your teeth. Shower, shower, shower. But are you going to sing in the shower? That's what we all want to know. Kind of exciting. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good Elvis movie there. Got Tom Hanks playing the Colonel. That's going to be interesting. Yep, he put a shower head on there. And you can do, what are those things called? Emojis too. You guys are so cute with your emojis. It's almost like another language. Took 4,000 years. We started out writing hieroglyphics and we come right back to it. Yep, there's nothing new under the sun, ladies and gentlemen. We're still doing the same stuff we were doing back in Egypt. Never thought about it like that, have you? I tell you what, though. As fascinating as it is, it really kind of makes sense that people are what people have always been. Same problems, same communication issues. Just different times, different locations. Could you imagine living in ancient Egypt? I bet you those people smelt good. Yeah, he don't make bad movies, which is interesting because he's a total leftist shill. But for some reason, he's managed to skate right through all of it, and he's got lots of street cred for some reason. He's probably guilty as any of them at all the things they're guilty of. But he has masterfully managed his persona to where everybody likes him. And he's a hell of an actor, too, so that doesn't hurt. Different seasons for us all, I suppose. Yep. Same place, different day. Same shit, different day. And I bet all those ancient Egyptologists that have tried to decode the hieroglyphs and all of that stuff, and if it wasn't for the Rosetta Stone, they'd have never figured it out. But I bet you that a few kids with iPhones could have figured it out in 5 minutes, because I bet you they're using the same idea behind hieroglyphics as they do behind talking and emojis. You ever seen some of them young kids can put a whole sentence together in emojis and know what the other guy's talking about? It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That was a good movie. Although Jenny was a whore and a villain. That's the same argument I had with Gone with the Wind. My mom used to idolize Scarlett O'Hara, thought how strong she was and what a symbol of womanhood. And I'm like, Mom, she was a whore. She slept her way to the middle. She took advantage of everybody that she knew. There's no strength there. You just got swept away with that swelly music, that's all. Made you think things that ain't true. If you look at it on the merits, she ain't nothing but a hoe. Unfaithful, untrustworthy, and total greedy. And she went through men like I go through underwear. And Scarlett O'Hara is no heroine. She was lost and abused, remember? No, she wasn't. She put herself in that position because she wouldn't listen to her mama. Granted, it's been a long time since I've seen Gone with the Wind, but I'm pretty sure she put herself in that position. And if she'd have just married the guy that loved her, she probably could have lived happily ever after, but he was weak in her eyes. She wanted a real man like Rhett Butler so she could take all his money when he died. She's probably the one that killed him. Okay, I'm making a little artistic license with the storyline, but it's been a while, I said. Still interesting that so many women idolized her, and not to see her for what she really was. Oh, you're talking about Forrest Gump. No, she was a whore too. She went out and did everything she could to not give Forrest Gump, the guy who actually loved her, the time of day, until she went through every man she could find, and then got AIDS, and then came back and gave it to him, and then left him with a kid and died. The only time she went to Forrest is when she needed something. That's not a good friendship, women. That's the first thing. Second thing is boys and girls cannot be friends. Stop trying to make them your friend. Yeah, and a drug addict. That's probably how she got the AIDS. They don't actually say it's AIDS, and they don't actually say how she got it, but they allude to it pretty strongly. It's either AIDS or hepatitis or something like that, but whatever it was killed her. And they were worried the kid had it. Or he did have it. They didn't really say that either. But he was kind of a puny looking kid, so I'm thinking maybe. No, boys and girls cannot be friends. Only you as a girl would think that because you haven't faced the reality that somebody wants to poke you with something. It's a reality. Boys and girls cannot be friends. Can't happen. Sooner or later, somebody's going to want something a little more than friendship. It's just the way it is. If you're forcing a boy to be your friend, he is forced to not have his natural character, which is to want to sleep with you. That's the only reason he came around in the first place. And if you force him to be in the friend zone, you are depriving him of his natural state of being. which is Mayo. I bet you did. Think about that for a minute. I'm sorry. Guys and girls are square pegs in round holes. Know what I mean? I'm not trying to be dirty here, but that's just the way it is. If you like a girl, speaking from a male perspective, if you like a girl, the first thought was that you wanted to sleep with her. That's the first thing. That's why you engaged her in the first place. You may find things that you're, equivalent with, like things that you have in common. You may find out that you like the person, but I assure you, sex was the first idea. Every time. Every single time. Now look at me. I wouldn't lie to you, honey. You were also a cute blonde for a long time. I'm sure you had quite a few male friends. And I'm also sure 100% that every one of them would have banged you in a heartbeat had you let them think they could. You see, there are two kinds of guys in this world. Only two. Those are the ones that are doing the banging and the ones that are trying to. Back me up, guys. Anybody tell me I'm wrong? That we're talking about heterosexual males, by the way. Period. I have no idea what drives a man of a different persuasion, because I are not one. I didn't say you did sleep with them. I said they wanted to sleep with you. I'm not calling you a hoe. I'm just saying that's the way men are. And I'm also saying that if you entertained that friendship, then you were forcing every one of those guys to be like a dog at a food trough with the leash held tight where they can't get to the food. You might not have slept with them, but you were definitely doing that. And I know you didn't realize that, but I'm telling you now, that's the way it is. Every one of them drooling at the mouth, chomping at the bit, just waiting to be let go off that leash. It's like people who try to make their cats vegetarians. You ever seen those people? The world does need hoes. You're absolutely right. If there were more hoes, we'd have world peace, because nothing stops conflict like titties. If we would make the entire front line of the military strippers, we could end all war in a matter of weeks. Just show a little titties, and then people would just put their guns down and pull out the dollar bills. It's true, folks. You got it here first. The end of war as we know it. Make the army strippers. All in favor say aye. Anyway, you ever seen those people that try to make their cats vegetarians? My cat only eats vegan. She never touches the stuff. Meat's bad for you. And then their cat goes blind and dies horribly. Well, the reason the cat goes blind and dies a horrible death is because they're cats. They need to eat meat. They need to hunt. That's what cats do. You can't force them into vegetarianism. They're not vegetarians. Don't have a cat if you're one of those people. Russia and Ukraine 0, titties 10. Amen. My cat is gluten-free and only eats vegetarian. Jesus Christ. Talk about animal cruelty. PETA ought to get into that argument. It's a cat. It has fangs. You ever see that involuntary sound they make when they hear a squirrel outside? They can't even help it. They don't even know what's going on. It's just animal instinct. You ever heard that? That cat wants to put his teeth in that squirrel and will stop at nothing to have it. That's a dude around a hot blonde. He'll lie to you. He'll connive his way into your panties. Whatever he can do, he's going to do it. You ever heard of a wolf in sheep's clothing? That's what a white knight is. I'm just about feminism and protecting the women's rights. He's trying. You can start the clock on a rape charge. Won't be long. Promise. If you have a friend who is a male feminist, run from that person as fast as you can and do not ever catch yourself alone with them. Write it down that I said so. Male feminists are wolves in sheep's clothing. There's no such thing. My cat eats whatever's left over and is a petite 25 pounds. And your cat's probably very happy. But don't force it to be a vegetarian, because your cat will die. But not before it goes blind and has bad hips and the liver fails, and it's not pretty. What's a male feminist? It's exactly what it sounds like. You know, the man bun type that's always out there marching with women for women's rights, and I'm just trying to stand up for what her rights are. You know, that guy. I respect her. Ugh. Believe me, she's not a vegetarian. That's good. It's a cat. It needs to eat meat. Any man that orders a latte is probably bordering that line of male feminist. Any man that's got frosted tips or, you know, nice cuticles. You know what I'm saying? If a man ever says he cares about your rights or anything like that, be suspicious. I'm just telling you. And if he calls himself a feminist, run. I'm telling you, you can start the clock on the rape charge, because it's coming. And if you don't listen to me and find yourself in that position one day, then it'll come back to you that I told you so, and you'll be like, oh, that's what he meant. Yes, I'd like to submit some DNA for evidence. It's not a bad thing. That's the way nature is designed. Don't look at it like it's bad or corrupt or evil or anything like that. It's just men and women are designed to procreate. That's what their drives are. It's natural. If that drive wasn't there, we would not survive as a species. It's necessary. It's one of those necessary evils, I guess you could call it. The very reason we're still here is because of that drive. But make no mistake about it, that drive is there, and if you mask it, that's all you're doing is pushing down the beast. It will eventually come out, and when it comes out, it'll come out with a vengeance. Notice how a lot of the youth today are not at all interested in sex. You ever notice that? How the very thought of it seems to be a bad idea. Write it down that I said this. Within 20 years, we're going to have a revolution like no one's ever seen before. And there will either be a sexual awakening in the country where everybody goes bang crazy, or there's going to be a whole lot of charges pressed in the near future. Write it down that I said so. It's going to happen. You can't push the beast into a box. I already had a fruitcake on an elevator one time. Scared me half to death about 2 years ago. Wow, it was very weird. It was a very weird minute, and I managed to get out. Well, good for you. I assure you that guy had no good intentions. I don't know the situation, but I can understand the reason. He's probably some MGTOW type that can't get laid to save his life. Found himself in an elevator with a captive audience. And then the thoughts started. And he was too weak to say no. Unfortunately, in the world of the sexual marketplace, that is an occurrence. There are people out there who cannot get laid. They can't do it. They're not pretty enough. They don't find a partner. They don't have charisma. They're raised in their bedrooms. They don't have any social skills. Those people exist, and there's a lot of them. And one way or another, that urge does not go away. And if you can't scratch that itch, at some point, they're going to go bang crazy. That sounds like a stripper name. Could be. I actually feel sorry for those kind of people because they didn't ask to be born, but they're here nonetheless. Anyway, I'm glad you got out of that elevator because it could have went bad in a hurry. All right, had enough? Let me attempt to play this commercial real quick and see if I don't crash my computer. Why don't you take a moment and hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. Press it hard. It's right in front of you. It's free. It takes no effort at all, and it really helps the channel with the algorithm. No reason not to at this point. Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, challenge me, bless me, confront me, conform with me, drink my Kool-Aid, drink your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critically, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love what I'm doing and you'd like to be part of this and you'd like to help out, or if you'd like to send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings, or if you'd just like to pat me on the back and say, hey, nice job, Jake. Here's a tip for the musician. Won't you please take a moment and consider supporting this channel by going to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps. It's a win-win. It's a blessing for you. It's a blessing for me, too, because God notices these things in this reciprocal universe in which we live. And with that, I will round out this video by finishing out your questions and comments. I thank you for your support, your confidence, and your trust, and I will do everything in my power to be worthy of it. All right. You never met the guy before. He was obviously drunk. Well, drunk people have the serious ability to let their inhibitions go, let their freak flag fly, if you know what I'm saying. and can be dangerous. Most of the time, drunk people are easy to handle, but occasionally you get one that's pretty much dangerous. That's one that's been drunk way too long and has way too few cares in the world. Way too few F's to give. And compound that with problems adding up, and you got an explosive situation. But yes, everyone hit the like button and feed Jake. We appreciate it much. Love to all. God bless us all. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. And if you're wondering what she means VJ, now I lay me down to sleep. You know, it's my theme song. Lord, my soul to keep. I've been a good doggy. VJ, put a little kibble in my bowl. Right through it all. VJ, say it loud, say it proud, say it like you mean it. If I die before I wake. VJ. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ooh, I'm getting tired. I had a long day today. Sleepy. Won't be long. I'm going to be crashing myself. I am excited to see the new Batman movie, though, and can't wait for the Elvis movie to come out. You went to the Supernatural Con? I bet that was fun. I've always wanted to go to Comic-Con, but I've never had a reason or rhyme to get there. I'm a Star Trek fan, so I would love to go to one of those Comic-Cons. But I think they've probably gotten a little different than they were when I was a kid, so I don't know if I'd enjoy it now, but I would have enjoyed it back then. And I loved that show, Supernatural, when it first came out. That was like the perfect show. 2 dudes in a car crossing the country. Excellent premise for a show. Go to bed, love, you and all. I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. 10 minutes to go. I said I was tired. I didn't say I was falling out and couldn't continue. I can continue. I got enough gas. Just barely, but I got enough. I was supposed to be making a pedal board right now, but I just don't have it in me to do it. I'm tired. Yes, I have been to 2 of the Supernatural conventions. It was amazing. Were any of the guys there? Like the people from the show? I did love that show, though. Not biblical at all. Don't get your education of the Bible from that show, but it's a damn good show to watch. That's not how angels and demons work, though, just so you know. I'm sure you do know that, but for whatever reason, TV seems to want to humanize demons and the devil. Have you ever seen that show, Lucifer? They make him out to be an all-out good guy in that show. I bet that was exciting. All of them were there, huh? Them Winchester boys. It's like the Dukes of Hazzard meets the A-Team, meets Knight Rider, meets The Exorcist. I love it. And Lost Boys. It's all those kind of shoved in together. There's a new show out that I think you'll enjoy. It's kind of the same thing. It's called Midnight Mass. Look into it. I think you'll like it. Midnight Mass. I'm not sure, but I think it's on Hulu. Might be CBS All Access, though. I can't remember. But Midnight Mass. I don't want to tell you anything about it because it'll knock your socks off. But if you're into the supernatural, you'll love it. But it's a slow burn, I'll tell you that. Watch it. If you're going to watch it, commit to it because it's about 6 episodes in before it really starts taking off. But the twist will blow your mind. It's probably one of the better TV shows ever made, put it that way. And it's the guy, last name Flanagan. I can't remember any of the movies he made right now, but he's got his own little subgenre of movies that he makes horror movies. But horror isn't necessarily the point. It's just part of the movie, you know. It's really a character study. I'm trying to think of some of the movies he's done. Flanagan is his name. I think it's Mike Flanagan or something like that. He did one of the Alien movies. And I think he did Hereditary. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Anyway, if you get a chance to watch Midnight Mass, I recommend it highly. And of course, The Mandalorian Season 3 coming out soon. And The Orville Season 3 coming out in March. May 1st. Don't give either one of the Star Treks a second look. Picard or Discovery. Wait for Strange New Worlds, and if they screw that up, give up on them entirely. There is no reason, as many Star Trek fans as there are in the world, there are no reason to have the people running that show that are running it, because they're running it into the ground. It seems like somebody would make a executive decision at some point. You got to meet Misha Collins, the angel. Sweet. Which was Castiel, the angel. And I met Richard Speight, Gabriel. And the young dad, played by Matthew something or other. Also saw Mark, the guy that played Lucifer, and Jared and Jensen Ackles. Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles. The Mandalorian was awesome, and the new one's going to be awesomer. I watched the Book of Boba Fett. It was a disaster, but the last 2 episodes was about the Mandalorian, and it was like on an order of magnitude better than the rest of the season. Just because of the guy. Star Trek, the movie, was excellent. They're all good. I'm a Captain Kirk fan. I like William Shatner. And I like all the Star Trek shows up until 2009. When the new movie came out, it just wasn't that good. I mean, it had all the trappings of good. It had the explosions and fast-paced and good-looking actors. And at first glance, it kind of lulled you into thinking it, but you were just excited to be seeing Star Trek. But on second glance, when you think about it, when you analyze what you just saw, it's really not that good of a movie. Not like, say, Star Trek the Motion Picture was. Or The Wrath of Khan. Kind of hard to beat that one. That's probably the best Trek ever been put on TV right there. But a lot of those series episodes from the original series were really good stories, too. A lot of them were garbage, but a lot of them were really good stories. They just don't write like that anymore. City on the Edge of Forever, come on. Yeah, they're wearing Star Wars out. And it's because they're trying to destroy it. The last 3 Star Wars movies were garbage. Not worth even remembering. They should be stricken from the record. The only saving grace that Star Wars has right now is The Mandalorian. And the only reason that's any good is because they go away from Star Wars and make it more about like being a Western. They use Western tropes. And that's why it's good. Because you can't beat an old Western. They're excellent writing. You know, man comes into town, finds the bad guy, has a shootout in the street to save the girl's honor. That's age-old storytelling. But if it wasn't for The Mandalorian, Star Wars as a property would be going down the drain right now. So I hope that the new season is every bit as good as they say it's going to be. And they need to, whoever's making those Star Wars movies needs to stop. And they need to find some real Star Wars fans, somebody whose life's work it is to bring these movies to life, and put that guy in charge of it. Not these people who are just career movie makers that don't care. You had a guy, J.J. Abrams, make Star Trek, the new movie, the 2009 movie, said on live television, I'm not really a Star Trek fan, I never really got it. Then why are you making the movie? How did they hire you to make the movie and you don't get it? You don't even know what Star Trek is about. It's not just about space battles. That's Star Wars. It's also not a fantasy. It's a science fiction, which means all the science has to be plausible. Star Trek is a niche property for really smart people. It's not for everybody. It's not for the masses. It never was going to fill up a theater on a Sunday morning. It's for certain people who dig that type of storytelling. It's about pushing the envelope. It's about talking about things in allegory. Things that are really happening. Like the Vietnam War was a big subject that they wrote about, but they disguised it with science fiction so that they could talk about these ideas. They just need to end it. I agree with you. I think if they can't write a better one, they need to end it. All the good actors are gone or old now. That's true. You liked the last 3 Star Wars movies? I'm sorry. I did not. Boba Fett was good. It was good, but it was not a good series. They hobbled Boba Fett. And I know why they did it, because they just created this new character for Star Wars, the first new character in a very long time, mind you, but they gave him all of Boba Fett's attributes. They made him a gunslinging bounty hunter that just as soon shoot you as kill you, but has a good side. So when they came out with the Boba Fett, they couldn't give him the same attributes or else it would conflict with the Mandalorian. You can't have 2 of the same character on TV with different names, apparently. So they hobbled him. They made him an old man. Every single thing he did, it was because Fennec Shand did it for him. He lost every fight he got into in that show. Boba Fett, the guy Darth Vader goes to solve problems. You see what I'm saying? I didn't care for him, but I sat through it, yeah. What, you didn't care for what? The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett? Or the Star Wars movies? I thought the Star Wars movies were increasingly disjointed flashes of garbage. The last one was like watching TikTok on high speed. There's a bunch of separate individual frames of ideas sewn together and then sped up super fast. Couldn't even follow the show. Didn't even know what the hell was going on. Nothing made any sense. You got to find a thing that finds another thing that can take you to another thing that'll tell you where to go. And then when you get there, there's 100,000 of those giant starships up there. Nobody knows who made them or where they came from or how anybody could afford to make so many of those things or who was doing it and nobody knew about it. But there they are nonetheless. And we can ride horses in space. Oh, yeah, and the Force, you can now teleport live objects through the Force. And Force ghosts can now hold inanimate objects. So if they can do that, how come they didn't help with the other battles? Now, Rogue One was a good movie, but it was doomed from the start because they had to kill every character they made in that movie because none of them are in A New Hope. So they basically just made a movie that had an ending that was already predetermined. Everybody dies. But it was a good show, and it was visually pleasing. All right, boys and girls, we made it. It's 10 after 3. I'm going to bed. I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight and being a great conversation and having all these wonderful ideas and perspectives and listening to me ramble on in a quasi-sleepy state. And don't pay attention to anything I say. Just let it go in one ear and out the other. It's about mindless entertainment, folks. That's why we're here, to be entertained. I'm doing my best. I love you. Take care of yourselves and each other. Take a moment tomorrow and be kind to somebody and watch it change your life. You need it. The world needs love. So start with you. Why not? Somebody's got to start. Might as well be you. You show the first love and see what happens. I'll see you guys on Friday, where we may interview Jeff Etheridge, or we may not. I don't know. It depends on if he gets back with me or not. Or we may debunk another atheist or something. We'll do something on Friday. It'll be nice. Anyway, I love you guys. You're awesome. You're the best fans on the internet. And I can't wait to produce more content for you. I love you, and thanks for watching.